Welcome you all to the regular meeting of the Cicero Town. Please note the exit to the front of the meeting room here.
Bill, your mic's not on.
Good.
That's okay.
Okay. Thank you. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Cicero Town Board on September 8th. Please note the exits in the front and the rear of the meeting room. In the unlikely event that you need them, you'll be able to go through the proper area. For those of you who are viewing the meeting virtually, please note, in addition to the town board members, we have Tracy Councilman, Gretchen Welter, Robert Jermaine, Steve Turno, Elko Johans, and Wayne Freeman. Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Boyke.
Here.
Counselor Park.
Here.
Counselor White.
Here.
Counselor Bacallo.
Here.
Supervisor Meyer.
Here, thank you. Before we get into the regular agenda, I'd like to ask any of the folks who are here this evening, please raise your hand if you served in the regular Air Force, the Air National Guard, or the Air Force Reserve. Any of you here served? Chief Paterno. Another gentleman in the rear, could you please stand up? I'd like to recognize these two folks here. This is the anniversary of the creation of the United States Air Force. It was September 18th, 1947. So in honor of the men and women that served and for the honor of the United States Air Force, we're going to have Chief Steve Turno lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You could also take a moment of silence for the 13 American servicemen and women who lost their lives on August 26th in Afghanistan, along with the victims of 9/11 as we approach the 20th anniversary of September 11th.
Thank you. Okay, number 2 on the agenda, Nancy.
Approval of abstracts. Resolve, the Cicero Town Board approves abstract numbers 34 dated August 25th, 2021, and number 35 dated September 1st, 2021.
Second.
Second, Ms. Bacallo, discussion. Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Boyke.
Yes.
Counselor Carr.
Yes.
Counselor White. Counselor Bacallo.
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item is adopted. Next item is number 3, continuation of the public hearing. Clerk will please note the time. The clerk notified us last time of the proper posting. So this again is a continuation of that public hearing. I'd like to open it up to those who would like to speak in favor of, and would like to speak in favor of this item. Anyone like to speak in opposition to? Okay, I'm going to keep the public hearing open for the time being because Mr. Procopio did get some correspondence on this issue, but unfortunately it wasn't able to be transmitted to the board. So we're going to keep the public hearing open. Next item on the agenda is public hearing to consider zone change to general commercial plus on East Half Road.
Excuse me.
Pardon me? Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, so number 4, public hearing to consider zone change to general commercial plus on East Half Road, tax map 05702 18.2. Whereas the applicant requests a zone change from general commercial to general commercial plus for the property located on East Half Road, tax map 05702 18.2. Now therefore be resolved. The town board sets Wednesday, September 8th at 6:30 at 8236 Brewerton Road for a public hearing to consider zone change from general commercial to general commercial plus, tax map 05702 18.2. Again, thank you very much. Clerk, please note the time, and this notice was properly posted. Now, for the folks who may not be familiar with this property, on the documents, it's listed as East Taft Road. Any of you who may be familiar with the area around General Irwin Drive off of Taft Road. Actually, most of this property that we're talking about this evening is on Stewart, which is parallel to Taft Road. So
Yes.
that being said, Tim, would you like to?
Good
address
evening,
the
Tim
board?
Coyer, News and Romans Land Surveying. If you're not familiar with the property, it's just south of Stewart Drive. There's an existing tax parcel that's currently owned by the county. It's roughly 40 acres. Right now, it's just an isolated tax parcel that's at the boundary of town of Cicero and town of DeWitt on the south. It's basically the airport's just south of this property. Right now, the whole entire property is zoned general commercial. If you look at the first page that I handed out, all it is a highlighted version of the existing zoning map for town of Cicero, highlighting the parcel in question. Our parcel is general commercial, like I said. Everything north of us is the existing Hancock Air Park subdivision. And that subdivision is all general commercial plus. We're looking for a zone change from the general commercial to general commercial plus for the purposes of we're going to actually carve out and sell pieces of this existing tax parcel to the parcels to the north of us in that existing subdivision. So this is the first step. We have to get this to match the existing zoning for that subdivision. So some of the tax parcels along Stewart Drive are actually going to pick up pieces of this parcel as we go into a subdivision phase. Hopefully, we'll be moving forward with that application once this application is finalized. Pretty straightforward. We're just looking to zone change the entire property and then move into subdivision.
Tim, is this landlocked?
It is landlocked, that is correct.
Is this like the old barracks where the barracks were?
The barracks, I believe, were technically to the east of us and that larger parcel to the east. But this is kind of like, there's some old roads and stuff that were used for the airport and the barracks in the military back in the day. So there are some existing paved roads out there that are not public by any chance. It's just, that's what they were used for a long time ago.
So in other words, with a zone change, it'll match up with Stewart Drive property so they can
Correct.
obviously purchase.
Yep.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All set, Tim?
I'm all set.
Thank you. Anyone like to speak in opposition to this? Yes, sir. Would you like to come to the front, sir, so we can get on the speaker, please?
One quick question. I was just wondering how people would gain access to the parcel. When it,
just so people get a little bit better idea of who we are. This is Dave Adams, Junior, Senior from Adcom Electronics. We have a building right there. And again, we're just here for the mere fact of we don't understand any of this. So with that being sold, we're the only building on that side. So we're just trying to understand, I guess, exactly what this is doing. So it's going to be sold, I presume, in the back. And it's going to be, oh, sorry.
I just, yeah, so and as you know, so basically, the access question is a little convoluted. Understand that, like, for example, the Dunn Tire people are going to purchase a small strip of land in the back here. We're going to add a piece here that's going to become an existing tax parcel. We're going to add a piece here that's going to be combined with that. And then this parcel is going to get bigger combined with that. So the entire tax parcel is not necessarily going to be conveyed out at the same time to one parcel. So each individual chunk that gets taken out, and once we get into subdivision, you'll see that access is going to be individually granted or given to the tax parcels that are going to be combined with. So, and then at some point, each individual parcel, you know, they might come in for site plan process. Does that make sense? Did I explain that properly?
Do you have a pointer to show us on the,
I apologize. I left it in my truck.
that's all right, just where their building is? Okay, got it.
No. So. Which button is it? So
Right.
Dave
See
and
that.
AdCom are right here. Okay. So the whole idea is we're gonna like carve off like a chunk here and it's gonna go to this parcel here. We're gonna carve off a chunk here and it's gonna go to this parcel here. We're gonna carve off a chunk here and it's gonna go to this parcel here, and so on and so forth. None of the access that you currently use and all that is going to be disturbed at all. It shouldn't change anything as far as access and drives out there. So yes, your parcel, which is here, you have your existing driveway here and nothing's gonna change with that. This road through here? Oh, the one in the back? Well, eventually, we're hoping that someone's gonna come in here with a site plan and they're gonna develop it, and probably take some of that road out when they put in a new building and do site improvements and all that. And again, what will happen is that that existing road that's here, there's an existing paved road that runs kind of parallel like this. And what they're concerned with is there's people that come in the back here and they dump and they do stuff in the back. All that paved road is going to be combined with these parcels, and each individual parcel, as they come in and develop the property, that road will go away. Because people are going to build buildings and. Correct.
Well, not here.
We're like the little guys out there now.
And remember, I did.
Any other folks with questions on this item? This
I did not
particular,
create that.
this particular zone change is in the seeker process. The notices have gone out to the other parties, such as the town of DeWitt, and they have to be given their proper notice time. So we're going to be holding this public hearing open again to the next meeting, and then we'll be coming back with the seeker. Counselor? Next meeting.
22nd.
I believe. Thank you. Please note on the 22nd. Thank you. Okay, so clerk will note the time on this one. Next item, number 5, Nancy.
You should make a motion.
Could be voted on. All right, so I have a motion on the floor. We'll have a second. Mr. Carp, discussion. Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Boyke,
Yes.
Counselor Carp.
Yes.
Counselor White,
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo,
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item is adopted. Thank you. All right, Counselor, you.
Then
same
for
thing?
4 too, right?
Same thing for 4. So I'm going to move it for 4 also. Second by Mr. Carp. Discussion on number 4. Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Boyke,
Yes.
Counselor Carp.
Yes.
Counselor White,
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo,
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item is adopted. Nancy, number 5.
Authorize the purchase of sign film material. Whereas the town needs to purchase reflective sign material to cover blanks. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board approves sign film material from 3M Transportation Safety Division in the amount of $6,506.87 from account code DB 33104, county contract number 2868.
Second.
Mr. Bacallo, discussion on number 5. Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Boyke,
Yes.
Counselor Carp,
Yes.
Counselor White,
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo,
Aye.
and Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item is adopted. Nancy?
Approve the purchase of 30 catch basins. Whereas the highway department is in need of ordering catch basins for drainage jobs. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board approves the purchase of 30 catch basins from Sunnycrest, Inc. in the amount of $10,500 from account code DB 511049.
Second.
Discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Boyke,
Yes.
Counselor Carp.
Yes.
Counselor White.
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo,
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item is adopted. Thank you. Nancy?
Approve the purchase of new and updated URW traffic sign and design system. Whereas the Highway Department would like to purchase this updated system for the sign shop as the old equipment is outdated and we have been having plotter problems with the old software. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board approves the purchase of the URW system, includes software, plotter cutter, computer system, service support with on-site training in the amount of $15,000 from account DB 33104.
Second.
Mr. Carp, discussion on number 7. Clerk will please call the roll.
Counselor Blakey.
Yes.
Counselor Carr.
Yes.
Counselor White.
Yes.
Counselor Picallo.
Aye.
And Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item is adopted. Thank you. Nancy?
Calling for a public hearing concerning ad hoc members of the Cicero Planning Board. Whereas the Cicero Town Board wishes to consider having 2 ad hoc members of the Planning Board. Now therefore be it resolved, the Cicero Town Board of the Town of Cicero, County of Onondaga, and State of New York will address an application introduced before the Town Board to consider an amendment of the Town of Cicero Code, Chapter 50 Article 1, appointment of ad hoc member to add an additional ad hoc member to the Planning Board. The text of the proposed amendment language is posted on the town website and will be available in the town clerk's office. And be it further resolved that the public hearing will be held on the aforesaid application at the town hall located at 8236 Brewerton Road, Cicero, New York, 13039, on the 22nd day of September, 2021, commencing at approximately 6:30 p.m. local time, at which all interested persons will be given an opportunity to be heard.
Second.
Discussion on number 8.
Do we have an explanation why we want to do this?
The only
What
reason for
prompted
doing
it?
this is to put it in line with the ZBA. The ZBA currently has 2 ad hocs. And coincidentally, we'll see later this evening that one of the members of that board has resigned. We'll be moving one of the ad hocs up to a full board member, and that still leaves them with an ad hoc with an additional that can be filled in the next, at the next meeting or 2. It's just have an extra person just in case it's needed. They don't get paid unless they're actually involved in the meeting. So it's just a buffer.
I talked to a while ago, actually, to Chairman Marzullo about this, and this is one of those things that kind of got waylaid because of COVID. We
Mhm.
weren't trying not to have substantive public hearings on things as much as possible. We were virtual. And his comment was it's a great place to train people. They're not full voting members. They don't vote on most things, but it's a good opportunity to get them familiar with the operation of the planning board, the kind of work that's involved in it, the analysis. So it just makes sense. And there was one time earlier this year when 2 ZBA members were out and both ad hocs participated. So
Yes.
that does happen. We do have people that might be interested in traveling on those boards, or people who might get sick with COVID going around. So it makes sense to have this kind of a buffer.
Anytime you can get more people involved in local government, it's always a plus.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Further discussion on number 8. Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Blakey.
No.
Counselor Carr.
Yes.
Counselor White.
Yes.
Counselor Picallo.
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item is adopted. Thank you. Number 9, Michael?
The board declares the following items from the town hall as surplus. Whereas the town hall has extra ink cartridges that are no longer used with the current printers, making them obsolete. And whereas the town hall needs to send 8 HP and 1 Canon ink cartridge to Auction International. Now therefore be it resolved, the town board approves the ink as surplus and authorizes the supervisor to send the above ink to Auctions International.
Second.
Discussion on number 9. Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Blakey.
Yes.
Counselor Carr.
Yes.
Counselor White.
Yes.
Counselor Picallo.
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item is adopted. Thank you. Number 10, the board approves rehiring of a recreation leader, whereas the recreation department has a need for a recreation leader to referee for volleyball leagues. Now therefore be resolved that the town board approves to rehire Victor McNally as a recreation leader, an hourly rate of $12.50, effective October 1st, 2021, budget code B 702013, and be further resolved, the hourly rate of $12.50 will be fully covered by premium registration. fees.
Second.
Mr. Pacalo, discussion on number 10.
I apologize. I should let you finish.
Okay, we're good. Discussion on number 10. Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Blakey.
Yes.
Counselor Carr.
Yes.
Counselor White.
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo.
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item is adopted. Thank you. Nancy,
Approve commitment to provide 20% match funding for Route 11 streetscape improvements from Brewerton Elementary School to Guy Young Road. Should the town's Transportation Alternatives Program, TAP, application for grant funding be approved. Whereas, as a continuation of the Brewerton Revitalization Program, the town is applying for TAP funding for Route 11 streetscape improvements from Brewerton Elementary School to Guy Young Road. And whereas, to be eligible for the grant, the town must commit to first instancing 100% of the project funds before requesting reimbursement of 80% of the eligible project costs, and that a 20% match is available to support the project. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the town board approve the commitment to instancing 100% of the project funds before requesting reimbursement of 80% of the eligible project costs, and that a 20% match is available to support the project.
second. I'll second it. Discussion? This is basically an opportunity that our engineer, Kate, found that will have a potential of approximately $4 million for the town for revitalization for the hamlet of Brewerton. It's not a, it's a competitive thing. We may or may not get it. But this opportunity for $4 million for Brewerton revitalization.
I'd like to comment because we already have submitted a application for several of the businesses in Brewerton on a previous grant, which is to do streetscapes and so on. After reading what was given to us in regards to this, it was basically over $5 million for the project. For us to front that kind of money would mean we'd have to borrow it. And obviously, we're not in a position to be borrowing over $5 million just to improve streetscapes at this time when we need so many other things. Just a comment.
Okay, further discussion?
I was just wondering, is this the time that we have to have this submitted by? What is it?
I did speak to the engineer about this. She did say that she wanted that we did not have to have a vote on this tonight. That we did have a little bit more time. So with the permission of the rest of the boards, I think it's a good question. I'd like to study this further and have some further discussions about it. You know, these seem like a tremendous opportunity, and I think it would be a great benefit to Brewerton, but it is a lot of money. So, you know, if we could put this off or not table it. Yeah, we could table it to a date certain. Table it to the September 22nd meeting and then revisit it and give us some more time to study it and review it. If the rest of the board is amenable to it.
I'm in favor of that.
Okay, I'll pull my second if Ms. White would like to withdraw the item number 11.
Absolutely.
Okay, so it's off the table for this evening.
But we're specifically tabling it to the next meeting, correct?
It's been pulled. It's off the agenda. So
Okay.
I'll put it back on for next time.
Okay.
Okay, number 12, Mike.
Approval of Lakeshore Yacht and Country Club firework permit. Whereas the fireworks coordinator for the American Fireworks Display LLC submitted a permit application, and whereas the Lakeshore Yacht and Country Club has submitted the $100 permit fee, revenue code A1255. Now therefore be it resolved, the town board approves for the town supervisor to execute the fireworks permit and accept the permit fee for the event on Saturday, September 18th, 2021 at 6777 Lakeshore Road, Cicero, New York.
Second.
Discussion on number 12. Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Blakey.
Yes.
Counselor Carr.
Yes.
Counselor White.
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo.
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, thank you. Item is adopted. Judy?
Naming Tonya Mosley as the ZBA clerk on a temporary basis. Whereas the zoning board of appeals has a vacancy in the clerk position, now therefore be it resolved, the Cicero Town Board appoints Tanya Mosley to the position of clerk of the Cicero Zoning Board of Appeals on a temporary basis effective September 8th, 2021.
Second. Discussion?
Did we get a second?
I second.
Thank you.
Okay, this,
I can speak
Okay,
to
go
it
ahead.
if you
Go
don't
ahead.
mind. Obviously, the position opened up, unfortunately, from the clerk resigning. And so after a situation where we really didn't have anyone available, that Tanya has done this before. And she obviously works in the zoning department. So it's great to have somebody to be able to slip in there for a temporary basis.
Yeah, we'll go through the regular posting notice process, but we weren't going to have a ZBA meeting canceled because we weren't going to have a clerk, so we had to take action for the moment. Okay, that being said, any further discussion on number 13? Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Blakey.
Yes.
Counselor Carr.
Yes.
Counselor White.
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo.
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item is adopted. Thank you, Judy.
Appointing Robert Bick to the Cicero Zoning Board of Appeals. Whereas the Cicero Zoning Board of Appeals has a vacancy due to the resignation of Gary Palladino. Now therefore be it resolved, the Cicero Town Board appoints Robert Bick to the position of member of the Cicero Zoning Board of Appeals effective September 8th, 2021 to December 31st, 2024.
Second.
Second.
Mr. Carp, discussion on number 14.
Again, Mr. Bick, as Ms. White had mentioned, is a ad hoc, and he comes with great qualifications as well. And I had suggested that, and I spoke to Mr. Stanton, the chairperson, and he also was in favor of appointing Mr. Bick.
Further discussion on number 14. Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Blakey.
Yes.
Counselor Carr.
Yes.
Counselor White.
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo.
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item is adopted. Thank you, Jonathan.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a couple minor changes to this on the fly as I read it. I assume procedurally that's fine, right? Okay. I'll explain, yeah. All right. Whereas town law requires planning board members to be electors of the town in which they sit on the planning board. And whereas the town board wishes to determine if there is cause to remove a planning board member due to an alleged lack or failure to meet the qualifications to sit on the planning board. Now therefore be it resolved, a public hearing is hereby called commencing at approximately 6:30 p.m. local time on October 8th, 2021, to consider whether or not there is cause for a formal removal of a planning board member pursuant, and I apologize, that is actually October 13th, so that's a correction, October 13th. To consider whether or not there is cause for formal removal of a planning board member pursuant to section 271 of the town law. At the public hearing, all interested parties will be given the opportunity to be heard.
Jonathan, do you have it right now so you can hand it over to?
I'll take care of that.
Okay, I'm going to give the clerk an opportunity to digest here. Are you good?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Second.
Mr. Bacallo, discussion on number 15.
With regard to the change of date, it may be necessary to issue subpoenas, and I do not believe that if we have it 2 weeks from now, that gives adequate time for those subpoenas to be responded to.
Discussion on number 15. Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Blakey.
No.
Counselor Carr.
Yes.
Counselor White.
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo.
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item is adopted. Thank you. Okay, we did have an executive session planned, so that's been pulled. But we'll stay on the original agenda here for 16 discussion. I have one small but very important item to start with. It's been a nasty year for mosquitoes.
Oh.
The town of Cicero and all the other towns are not in the mosquito business. It's not County. Unfortunately, the county does spend a lot of money on mosquito control, lots and lots and lots of money, but they can only spray the Cicero Swamp, which is state of New York property, once the state of New York approves of spraying. And part of that spraying approval process is they have to find the particular types of mosquitoes, those particular species of mosquitoes that carry diseases. The mosquitoes that go after birds, they don't care. Okay, it has to be those that carry diseases. And so the mosquitoes are trapped, special traps, they're sent to a lab. Once they find things like encephalitis, then they're authorized to do certain area spraying. So there are many species of mosquitoes in Cicero. So it has to be exactly the right kind. And it has to be done in certain areas because of the pygmy rattlesnake. They can't spray in those areas. So in the meantime, the clerk has been very kind and has these handouts available at the back of the room. Please also go to the county health department website for other things you can do to protect your family and get educated on this very nasty, those little, they're very aggressive this year. I don't know if you noticed, they're dark and very, very aggressive. So that's the only item I have. Any other board members have any other items?
It is supposedly budget season, but I know we don't have a preliminary budget yet. I know that one of the departments or branches to which I'm liaison has not submitted its budget yet, and I will talk to the relevant people there. But any department heads or electeds who are watching this meeting who have not yet submitted your budgets, please do so, because we are eager to get to work on the budget and honestly antsy about the fact that we don't have a preliminary budget yet, because the voting on that budget will come up very, very quickly. We want to have adequate time to digest it, to go over it with the relevant department heads, to look at it as a whole, because you can't really get a good picture of a piecemeal. And, you know, if it's left to the last minute, you know, we have to make difficult decisions. We may not have all the information that you would like us to have before we make those decisions about budgets. So please get them in. Thank you.
Any other items?
Yes. Previously, we had a presentation in regards with the DOT in regards to the improvements on Route 31 and the roundabout, excuse me, on Thompson Road. As I had mentioned before, I have secured the DOT to bring to the town of Cicero a presentation. This presentation is going to happen September 30th. It's a Thursday night. It's going to be held at the Cicero Highway Garage from 6 to 8. Everyone will have an opportunity to come in, view the actual diagrams that they are proposing. Plus, there will be several folks from the DOT on hand to have an opportunity to speak to the residents, and they will have an opportunity then to also give their input in regards to the roundabout and any of the other improvements that are supposed to be in progress for Route 31 up to South Bay Road. That's September 30th. It'll be 6 to 8. And that will be publicized by the DOT. And as soon as I get their confirmations in their details, it'll go on our website. Thank you.
Any further item? Okay, next item on the agenda, public input. Please raise your hand. Mr. Weismaker?
Fred Wazenica, Cicero Center Road, Cicero. Hoping the town engineer would be here so he could answer.
Brad, can you speak a little closer? We can't hear you. Thank you.
Okay, I was hoping the town engineer would be here today so he could answer a couple of questions for me, free gratis. Since we're on the verge of 9/11, I don't think any of the victims or victims' families got true justice for that ordeal. I really recently came across some pictures of what happened on that day. One is from Peter Jennings, live news report. There's an audio and wording of what he said. Jennings, ABC. Watch how the airplane penetrates the building completely in one side and out the other. In the background is, where's the camera here?
It's in front.
In the background are the trade towers, and back of him is the other trade tower with the nose of the airliner coming out. So I just would like the engineer to explain to me how the airliner comes out intact on the other side of the building. Similar news report from Jim Ryan, WNYW News in New York. There it is. There it is. The plane went right through the other tower and of the World Trade Center. Went right through the other tower. There's Jim Ryan, and there's an audio of him saying that. This is a more clear picture of the Twin Towers live with the nose of the airliner coming out and the tail on the other end of the building where it penetrated. Now, to me, I'm no engineer, but I'm no dummy. And I don't see how that is humanly possible to happen. So if you could relay these to the engineer for me and have him give me an explanation to the best of his ability, I would appreciate it. Is that okay?
Yeah, she's not an aeronautical person,
Or a mechanical or a
whatever, but
structural engineer,
I'm
but-
sure she could maybe give you a reference, Mr. Woznicka, to folks who do aeronautical work. Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Yes. Ms. Villeneuve, then Mr. Snyder.
John Snyder.
John. Lady in the back row had her hand up first, so I'm going to get you.
They don't
next.
want to hear what I have to say anyway. Mud Mill Road.
No, John,
John, you're waiting.
Well-
Let Joyce.
Joyce, please.
Nave, Ontario Ave, and thank you for mentioning budget time. I was thinking about it as I was sitting in the park a couple of weeks ago about how we have no lifeguards and this is an ongoing issue. I'd like to suggest that maybe we don't have lifeguards because the teenagers can't afford to pay the fees that it costs to get the certification. And I was wondering if, since you would have to budget for it, you would consider spotting the funds to train the teenagers, maybe in cooperation with the Red Cross who does the training, and maybe the county with some of the stimulus, or not stimulus, but pandemic money, to ask the teenagers to go for the certification, that they would be spotted the funds and guaranteed a job at the end of the training in the summer. And that may resolve the issue of lifeguards for our beach. I know when my daughter was growing up, it was a lifesaver during the summer to have somewhere that she could go with her friends, be out of trouble, have some fun, and be in her own town comfortable, not have to travel, because I was working, there was no way for her to go anywhere else. And I really feel for our local children that, you know, along with pandemics and all the craziness that's been going on, that they can't even enjoy their own beach. So I would like you guys to consider maybe working with the county and the Red Cross to try and get some training done so that we have lifeguards for next year. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I've resolved not to, this is public input, not public debate, and I've resolved not to generally respond and just let people talk. But I wanted to address that. Two things. One, there's very little we can do with the stimulus money we received, to our much to our chagrin, so we can't do that. And I talked to Jody Rogers about that back when she was still on, and it's something that I will certainly talk to the other town board members about. The problem is if we spot it or front it, typically when you're dealing with adults with something like that, you would have some kind of provision. We paid for your training. You're going to work X number of weeks or months or hours or whatever. And then you have some kind of, we call it a recapture schedule. But contractually, I don't know about doing that with teenagers. And then are we really going to want to go and try to collect it? So, I mean, there's some logistical issues with that, but I do recognize that the having to pay the hundreds, whatever it is, $300, $400, $500
Yeah.
is definitely an obstacle.
Well, I'm sure that the parents would have to be involved in any type of
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Right. It's just, then you have to try to collect it and that, but yeah, it's certainly something worth discussing as long as we have this beach, I agree.
Well,
'cause
I'm
it-
sure that there are teenagers out there who would love that because it's a life skill that they can use year after year.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, And maybe they just can't afford to do it and would love the chance.
Okay.
But thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Snyder?
Three quickies. Number 8 and 15, I won't discuss those today since we have hearings. I know a little bit more than I really want to know on either one of those. But go back to the number 11. If we got to come up with $4 million to front this project to make the streets look pretty in Brewerton, we got to borrow. We're going to pay interest on that. We don't know. Obviously, one of the things we want to know is how long is the project going to take, so we know how long we're going to borrow that money. And the bottom line is, we got to come up with 800 grand if we're 20% match. If you put an 800 grand item in the budget for Brewerton tree safe this year, I think we're going to be in trouble. We have some other serious problems, and I think this project's going along. We're moving, but I think this is probably not the year to increase our budget with that as being our reason.
Thank you. The blue?
Palm Blue, 6121 Palm Summit Circle. Supervisor, board members, I have a question. I assume we're going to have a ceremony on 9/11, probably at the firehouse. Anybody know about that?
8 a.m. at Station 1.
8 a.m. That'll be, okay. I know they normally have that. And we're talking about that issue tonight, and it's nice to know that that'll be this coming Saturday. The question that you brought up, Councilor Carp, you have basically a date of what, November 5th or 8th, that budget basically has to get pretty much approved.
I'm not sure about the exact date.
But it's in
the
there.
neighborhood, yeah.
Yeah, all right. And you still have some of the directors, different department heads that have to get in their tentative budgets done.
That's my understanding from speaking to the comptroller. And I mean, we don't have a preliminary budget in any case at this point, which I think is probably the latest.
We're on schedule, Mr. Blue, for the budget process. We're on schedule. Some of the departments are very punctual, others are not so much. So we're going forward with those that are punctual, and so we're not getting behind.
Very good. I came in tonight. I have a petition from the homeowners, residents of Miller Park. Our road was paved and installed 23 years ago. I was fortunate enough to buy a house there 21 years ago when the road was in relatively good shape. The road is literally starting to break apart in certain areas. I took the time to go out on 2 or 3 different nights. I spoke to 28 of the 30 plus homeowners. Every one of them would like to see our road put on the paving schedule for next year. And on top of that, apparently there are a lot of homeowners along Rose Court backing up to Abbyshire. They're having continued drainage problems. Some of them have said they've reached out to the town and not heard back or not gotten a satisfactory answer. I'm sure that is something that the town board would want to also look at. So if I can give this to you, or I can give it to the town clerk.
Clerk, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? I'll move for adjournment.
Second.
Second. Voice vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.